Hey everyone! So for today I have another houseplant project that I've needed to do for quite some time, but I have been putting it off because I think it's going to be a little bit difficult and I'm afraid that I might somehow kill the houseplant. But basically what I need to do is repot this pothos that is the one that's trailing along the wall. So basically it's already starting to have the roots come out at the bottom of the pot. But I think what I'm going to do instead of just repotting it into a larger size is I'm going to try to divide it. So let me take you up close and kind of show you why I'm going to try to divide this pothos instead of just repot it into something larger. So this pothos here sits basically on the top of my plant shelf with the leaves then trailing along the wall. And if I step back a little bit, I do feel like the size of this terracotta pot, which is maybe an 8-inch in diameter, but I think that's the largest I can go and still have it look okay sitting on the top of the shelf. I think if I go any larger, it'll just take up too much space. So because I like the size of this pot, I want to divide the pothos, trying to keep the long vines on one plant that I'll just repot back into the original pot, and then taking off the pieces with some of the shorter vines and repotting them as a whole new plant. Some of the reasons I'm a bit nervous is because I just really like the wall and how it looks. There's some vines that are hanging down that I need to obviously reconfigure, and I'll do that after I repot. But because I love this so much, I'm almost afraid to do anything at all with this plant in case I somehow kill it and no longer have a plant wall. But the plant is not going to be happy if it continues to stay in a pot that's too small for much longer. So let's go ahead and take this off the wall and get it divided. Something that I'm going to do a little bit different with this pothos as compared to the pothos in the other corner of my office, which I think it's been maybe a couple weeks since I posted that video of the hanging plant. But this one, the vines themselves, it's more important that the vines are in the same position when I take it off the wall and put it back up, because obviously the one that's trailing up here along the ceiling, that vine I've been keeping longer. The other ones I've been keeping shorter as they hit the edge of the wall. So it does matter more that I'm putting the vines back in the same place where I take them off of. So what I think I'm going to try to do is I should have some little like sticky bookmarks. So like those Post-its that you put in books to, well, if you read actual paper books anymore, but to mark your pages. I think I'm going to take some of those, or I'll cut up a regular Post-it and just kind of take a little sliver of it and label the vines kind of from top to bottom. And then that way, when I do put it back on the wall, I'll know which vine goes where, just to make organization a little bit easier. This is what I've done with the vines to label them. So basically just folded over those sticky notes onto the vines that are on the wall and then wrote 1 through 5 so that I know which one starts on the top and which one is on the bottom. So now I'm going to take it off the wall and we will start dividing it. Some tips for dividing plants that I want to mention is, one, it's best to do it when the plant is dormant. So during the winter time, when I've actually just been lazy and pushed off all of my houseplant to-dos anyway, it's actually the best time to go ahead and divide your plants. So once they're dormant for the season, then you can go ahead and divide them. Same thing with repotting. I like to wait till they're a little bit dormant to do that as well. And then also, at least I found it's a bit easier to work with if I've watered the plant about 2, maybe 3 days before I'm going to go ahead and do the division. That way the water, it's not saturated completely, but it's a little bit more stuck together, easier to work with instead of just a bunch of loose soil kind of falling off the plant. So I did water this about, I think 2 days ago, gave it a good drink, so we should be good to go. The vines are all off the wall, and I've tried to spread them out so that they don't get tangled together, but we'll see how long that lasts. The wall looks kind of funny now with just a bunch of command hooks on it. So now I'm going to take the plant or the pot off the shelf. I need to get my little plastic kind of dirt catcher thing to repot it on, and we'll get to work. I now have 2 plants, 1, 2. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't possible for me to get all 5 of the wall vines into one part, and let me show you why here. So this vine, which is vine 5, which is perfect because that was the one at the bottom anyway, but it was right here growing out of this clump. That was kind of the perfect point to divide. So if it was going to have one vine that wasn't going to be able to divide it, at least it's the one that was the lowest on the wall, so we should still be pretty good there. And then there's definitely some vines here that will continue to grow and get longer, and then I can just add that as kind of the new vine 5. But it was pretty easy to tear apart. I was able to use my hands to do it. If you have some roots that are a bit more root bound, harder to divide, then you can use like pruning shears or clean scissors, but definitely make sure that you do use some rubbing alcohol or something to sanitize them beforehand. So now what I need to do is put this back in its original pot and then find a new pot and a good size one for this. Here's a look at the after repotting destruction. I mean, it's actually not as messy as I've been in the past, but I do look forward to being able to repot plants outside again once it gets warmer. So now, this is the original plant, so you need to go back up there. And then the other one that I repotted is sitting in the bathroom for right now. I will go ahead and give that a good drink. I'll also water this one once I put it back up there. So now let's rehang this pothos. The pothos is now back up on the shelf and back up on the wall. I do miss this pot being so full up here, but I know that more vines will start to grow and it's going to be much happier having more space for all of these vines. And then down here, so very glad I labeled these, but 1, 2, 3, 4 vines are back in their original place. And then down here, this vine is going to be the new number 5. So this whole process was easier than I thought. I do keep, fingers crossed, getting pleasantly surprised, and the tasks that I think are going to be more difficult or take more time aren't as bad as I'm anticipating. So I'm glad this is back on the wall. I'm going to keep an eye. I do expect to lose a few leaves just from, the shock of dividing the plant, but hopefully not too many. I'll keep you updated as far as how the wall continues to look. Now I need to figure out what I'm doing with the whole new pothos plant that I just made with one very long vine. Here is the new plant that I've made with vine number 5, and it looks a little ridiculous right now. What I think I'm gonna do is cut off this long vine so it's about the same length. Oh, that scared me. Hello, how are you doing? Sorry to disturb your nap. I'm going to cut this off near the other ones, and then I think I'm going to make some long propagations with the rest of this so that I can put it into my plant curtain. Oh, she is not happy that I woke her up. So that's going to be everything for today. It does feel nice. Would you like to come up here? Come on. It does feel nice to get some of these houseplant to-dos that I've had to do for months checked off. So I'll keep you updated, like I said, on how my pothos does after the dividing. I'll let you know how the new one goes and where I end up putting that. But I expect to have a few more houseplants that I need to divide. I already know my ZZ plant and probably a few to repot as well. And I will bring you along with me as I go through those. So thank you so much for watching. Me and Penelope here. We'll see you in the next video.